And good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. Guesting this morning with St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Good to see you. I guess let's start with, I think when I last left you, you were just about to name a new city clerk treasurer. I think you couldn't talk about it, but Nicole Robtoy was the choice and off to a good start.
Yeah, I talked to Nicole yesterday. She seems to enjoy it. They started an interview for the assistant clerk, and they had a candidate in yesterday, or a couple. So they hope to move that forward. If we're talking about city employees, we were notified and we knew about the process, but our financial officer, Tom Lights, was selected for the Waterbury town manager job.
Oh, wow. Town manager. Huh?
Yeah, and
Wow.
so we lose Tom as of, I think, November 1st.
Wow.
And that will be a huge hole to fill.
Wow.
Tom was well-versed on the TIF finances.
Wow.
He oversaw a very, very strong department and had an excellent grasp on the budget. And he was very good in tracking down low-cost financing.
Wow. He's been with the city for how long?
That's a good question. He's been there before
Oh, really?
so it's been at least,
Wow.
I want to say 6 to 8 years.
Wow. So that's a significant loss for the city.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, it's going to be a tough
Wow.
job to fill
Wow.
to that level of knowledge that he had.
Yeah.
You know.
So taking over in Waterbury.
Yeah.
Boy, of course, we have folks in Swanton Village looking for a new village manager with Reg Bellabone.
And I spoke to Neil Spear yesterday,
Yeah.
and they have a couple very good candidates that have applied because they've already
Yeah,
put it
great.
out. I saw the notice also on Kerry Johnson at St. Albans Town.
Right.
So
I guess in her last year will be retiring next year, maybe
yeah,
June
in September.
30.
September.
Oh,
What was it?
September.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
another year
September
or
of
so.
2023. So she'll
Okay.
be there.
Wow.
But
Changes.
you know, the tricky part with the Swanton job is the utilities piece, right?
Boy.
You've got the electrical side of the the village.
Yeah, wastewater, water.
Water, wastewater.
Yeah.
So you got to have some knowledge to jump into that
Yeah,
job.
boy, if Swanton Village can find someone a quarter as community-minded as Reg Bellabone, I'll
Reg.
be impressed.
Reg was
Said
excellent.
Reg has turned in a pretty solid job up
Yeah,
there.
11 years, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, no, Reg did a
Wow.
wonderful job. It was great working with him through
Yeah.
Franklin County Industrial Development. So,
Yeah,
and he was local. He was right there. So
yeah,
he definitely proved to be a good choice for the village.
yeah. Sounds like Swanton Town with Brian Savage. Sounds like the town's in pretty good shape with their
Yeah, town's got a lot
manager, huh?
going on. They're looking at trying to redevelop the Riviera Hotel.
Right, the Riv. Who could forget the Riv?
Yeah, so they've got a lot of projects going on as well. I was encouraged by the discussion for the rec center as well in Swanton.
Right, yeah.
I thought that would be a great project for the community for sure.
Yeah. I talked at some length. I happened to see Jim Cameron over the weekend over in Enosburg. Talked to Jim at some length, and no, he's certainly been a pretty big player in St. Albans. But
Yeah.
if I suspect you're well aware that I guess the governor's coming to. I should know we're taping the show on Tuesday, September 20th, and I guess the governor's coming to town a week from today, September 27, according to Jim for his weekly news conference. And I guess maybe down where Jim's doing his whole district courthouse
Right.
renovation thing.
So yeah, the governor, since he wrapped up his COVID, his twice a week COVID or sometimes 4 times a week
Right.
COVID press releases
Yeah.
and news conference, he seems to be moving around the state to do different press conferences, and this is one. And they're going to be announcing some downtown tax credits as
Right.
well for redevelopment.
Right.
And yeah, I can't say enough about Jim Cameron. I mean,
Well, we're talking, what, City Hall? We're talking the new police headquarters?
he had,
the
American
lodge at
St. Albans
Hardack?
House. St. Albans House.
St. Albans, not to mention, starting with the
Yeah.
St. Albans House.
Yeah, he did. He worked hard to bring the cost down on the lodge at Hardack to the point where it's still, you would never know it. It's a great building, great facility.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he worked to refurbish the Hangry Donut space and the bootlegger space as well. So he's been very active in the city. from FCIDC's point of view, we're doing the Pearly Block project up in Enosburg, and
So he's involved with that also?
yeah, he's our
Key
project
guy.
manager, and we could not.
And of course, he was a key guy with innkeeper Jennifer Bright's cousin, Betsy Dormany there with where we had a meal the other day. A restaurant's about to open in there, which I think you're. Speaking of restaurants, all people ask me, the old foundry, is that getting closer to coming back to life?
Yeah, they were delayed because they were waiting for a stove hood. That was not back ordered, but supply chain issues. They didn't get it in. I think I heard the end of the month.
Yeah.
It's getting close because they've started to. I know they've hired and are starting to work. Doing some trial meals and whatnot. So I think it's on the horizon.
Yeah.
So.
And with your Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation hat, Tim, Beta Technologies, anything nailed down on Beta having a presence at the old Energizer plant?
Yeah, I think it's October 1st that Beta has signed a lease, and they'll be starting to. It won't be a quick move in. There's some renovations that have to happen, but I'm quite sure the lease has been signed and they're ready to move forward.
Really? Does Peerless still have a presence out there?
Yeah, Peerless will sublease from Beta. Beta doesn't need the entire building. They only need 20,000 square feet.
How big's the building?
195.
Wow.
And there's a couple smaller businesses in there, Main Street Graphics and Finish Solutions. And then there's another subtenant, Belly Box, took some space from Peerless because they didn't need all of their 160,000.
Right.
And they will sublease from Beta as well.
Right.
So Beta's it's a gradual, unless things change drastically, it's a gradual progression. They'll take 20,000 square feet this year, another 20, so there'll be 40 next year, and then I think ultimately they want control of the whole building. So, and Peerless is looking for additional space as well. So.
Wow. And number of employees down the road for Beta Technologies locally? We got a number?
I've heard 60 to 100.
Really?
No.
Wow. That's certainly significant.
And once again, that's a gradual progression.
Right. That'll be great to see some more life to that building out there.
No doubt.
And speaking of such things, I mentioned this off air, but I've got the latest copy of Vermont Business Magazine with Frank Coffey, the cover guy, and just a real nice story on Frank, of course, longtime head honcho at Greater Burlington Industrial Development Corp., but a real nice story on Frank, who's been involved, obviously, on the economic development front in Vermont for a lot of years, but nice story on Frank.
Yeah, I don't know Frank. No, just...
When you said that, you managed to throw me off there pretty well.
I've known Frank since we were kids.
That's forever, huh?
He's got a few years on me, but Frank is the senior economic development person. He actually started at FCIDC.
Right. I should remember that. Certainly someone I was dealing with in my earlier years up here. Yeah, good point.
Frank was in this seat early on.
Good point.
He had other individuals, included Tom Hungerford and Brian Sussland.
Yeah.
And myself.
Tim Soul comes to mind. Yourself.
All local individuals who have given back to the county by investing time through FCIDC. Frank moved on to be Commissioner of Economic Development, which
under Howard Dean,
which was a great step, and then went back into being a regional development coordinator at Burlington, and has done a great job. Frank is someone who is, I'm sort of summarizing the article here, but Frank has been well connected in the State House and throughout the state with in the economic development field and with UVM for sure. I think he's
a long time. I think veteran, longest serving UVM trustee. And of course, I guess he still has his place in St. Albans. I guess is he officially a resident in the Burlington area now, but certainly hasn't forgotten his Franklin County roots.
Yeah, no doubt. His mother's still alive. His father passed about a year ago. Obviously well connected. You ask Frank for anything for St. Albans and the region, and he's the first to line up. Frank has been, for me, a mentor for sure. and has for a number of RDCs. So there's 12, for those who don't know, there's 12 regional development corporations around the state.
Right.
Frank's in Burlington and Franklin County Industrial here.
Right.
So the story was, I haven't read the whole thing, I'm about halfway through.
Either have I, but pretty nice story.
Yeah, it's a nice story. It covers a lot of aspects of Frank's life, and the thing about Frank is he's walked the walk. I mean, he's had his own businesses, in the Burlington area.
I guess he's still a real estate broker, I guess. He's hung on to that, apparently.
Yeah. So for me, he's a great friend, and for the community, he's a friend of the community as well.
Right,
so.
and I've asked you this before. It sounds like, you're in touch with him. It's not like he's just looking to grab everything he can for Chittenden and forget Franklin.
No.
I mean,
Frank, the good question.
Yeah.
No, Frank has sent us many leads.
Wow.
He actually tried to get Blodgett ovens up to
really?
the Energizer plant.
Really?
And that didn't quite pan out. But Frank still keeps us in his back pocket and tries to assist us whenever he can.
Yeah, nice to hear that. Tim, I pretty much always ask you about USCIS, U.S. Customs and Immigration Services, the would-be new facility. Any news?
I'm surprised it hasn't gone public yet, but they are not coming to Franklin County.
Really?
Yeah, we were notified of that probably about 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
They will choose to stay in Essex. They will not be building a facility in St. Albans or any surrounding community.
Are they talking a new facility in Essex or just?
No, I think and this is just an assumption. I mean, it's not. We've received nothing official other than the fact that they are not coming to St. Albans.
Really? Wow.
They will stay in Essex because they are set up in Essex now.
Huh.
I think the thinking is that they'll wait a couple of years and they will probably build a new facility. This is just a guess.
Sure.
I want to make sure that's clear. But in speaking with the city manager and myself, our conversation, I think we're on the same page that, once Senator Leahy retires, they're not bound to St. Albans anymore. And I think they've seen this opportunity with the senator retiring to,
Really?
ignore any demands that have been put on to rebuild in Franklin County.
And Senator Leahy was the key person.
Senator Leahy was the key from day one.
Right. It was what? I mean, this is one of 4 service centers, 4 or 5 service,
I think,
5 around the country.
So he it started out with 65 employees, and then they built a spin, and they were up to as much as 750, 800, and dropped down a little bit. But Leahy, through his relationship with Bill Chaffee, was always committed to keeping the immigration facility here in St. Albans.
Wow.
And I think he probably put those demands on INS, who's more of an independent government entity. Yeah. And now they see their opportunity to do what they want. So that's my take on it.
Interesting.
We're not happy about it by any means. It's a.
Are you not the most? Were you surprised by that, or not particularly?
I would say not particularly.
Yeah.
The process has gone on for more than a year. We did site visits back in May, I guess it was. I just wasn't, nothing really, no communication, no nothing. It doesn't surprise me in a way, but it's a loss for St. Albans and Franklin County for sure.
So again, a number of county residents are obviously working in Essex now and will continue to do so, but not having the physical presence, that hurts.
Yeah, from what I understand, so you have your government employees and you have your contract employees.
Yeah.
Government employees can work from home, and then the contract employees have to go in. So if you're a contract employee that was here 3 years ago and still working, you can't just drive to Coop Field if you're from Swanton or Enosburg. You have to now go all the way to Essex on a daily basis. The contract employees, from what I understand, do not have the option to work from home. Wow. So they may choose to say, I don't want to do the drive anymore, and maybe look for some of these other jobs that are open in the county.
No, that's certainly disappointing.
Yeah, it is
news.
big. It gave us good diversity in our job
Yeah,
mix.
yeah.
You know, we had you had government jobs, you got healthcare, you got education, you got manufacturing,
Yeah.
agriculture. So now you lose a big chunk of that diversity.
Wow. Well, while you're still kind of wearing your FCIDC hat, any other noteworthy economic news around here? Again, sounds like Beta's been probably the biggest news.
Yeah, we're working with an entity to build a small building in the industrial park, which would be our first.
Yeah.
Broke ground on that for a 15,000 square foot building. And that
Sorry, St. Albans Town or?
St. Albans Town, correct.
Okay.
The hope is once you get that first one, then it starts to flow a little bit.
Yeah.
I did hear from another entity who had a purchase and sale arrangement on one of the smaller lots as well. I got a call that they were successful in getting some tax credits in terms of energy creation, energy production. So they should be moving forward with their project to close on that 3-acre parcel as well. And yeah, so those are two, and we're in a heavy discussion, on a third one as well.
Yeah.
So
Boy, in my early days up here, going back to the days of Frank Coffey maybe having your job, but just seemed, as I recall, it just seemed like a lot of the new jobs around here were often Quebec-based businesses jumping across the border. Is still, I mean, that's still happening. It seems like that was kind of the main thing happening there for a while. Is that, of course, the border's been an issue, but
Yeah.
you still, and obviously Franklin County has some of those
no,
businesses.
I mean, I'm trying to
Barry
think.
Calabo obviously
Yeah,
comes to mind.
the roots. Mylan was a
Huh.
Canadian, had Canadian owners,
Huh.
because that one that was called Johnigan.
Oh, right,
So
right.
that was Barry Calabo, as you mentioned, Peerless Clothing.
Peerless.
We had another one that was a great company. It was a transformer company that was here for about 3 years, then got bought and moved to Mexico.
Huh.
Yeah, Belly Box is a Canadian company.
Huh.
So yeah,
Wow.
so we've always been fortunate to be where we are located,
Yeah,
and now hopefully with the border opening up a little bit more, we'll see a little bit more action.
yeah.
And-
Border
and-
ci- yeah.
And we did get an inquiry from when the governor went on his trade mission, if you will, to Montreal.
Right.
We did get an inquiry from a company there that we pitched a few sites and businesses or buildings. So that's one based out of Montreal in the
Interesting.
aerospace sector.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we calls continue to come. Our issue, and I guess we're more FCIDC today than Mayor
Okay.
Richard, but our issue is no vacant buildings.
No vacant buildings.
We have no vacant buildings.
Wow, is that right?
Yeah, I could have rented.
Chittenden County, don't they have about the same,
Yeah,
similar
Yeah,
issue?
and then the cost to build is,
Wow.
so 5 years ago, we probably could have built a building
Huh.
for $1.10, $1.20 a square foot,
Yeah,
and now it's $1.86.
really?
So it's gone up
50%
33%.
increase
yeah.
anyway. Wow.
So that's where, because
Huh.
over the last 2 or 3 months, I could have rented 60,000 square feet,
Really?
so.
Speaking of building, it makes me think of the building across from City Hall where CCV relocated. I guess the hospital has a presence there. As I recall, the hospital didn't take as much space as they thought they were going to. Am I correct about that or not?
No, they did, well,
They-
they're leasing space but not using a portion of it. So
Okay.
I think the city and the hospital are looking for someone to take that unused
Okay,
space.
that's what I'm thinking
So-
of.
Yeah, so they were on the hook for the lease
Huh.
for that upper floor, and then COVID hit, things changed, and so
Huh.
everyone's working to try to find an entity to move
Huh.
into that spot.
But no vacant buildings, and that makes me think of
No,
the labor shortage issue. Nothing really changes on that front? Everybody, I
we're-
mean, just seems like everybody's still looking for help?
Everyone's still looking. I think a lot of people have gotten real creative on how they're recruiting.
And of course, you've made the good point before about all the Franklin County residents who get on the road Monday through
Yeah.
Friday and head to Chittenden County, that they might be the key people to try to keep up here
Right,
with
and
some of these
that's one of the
jobs.
conversations we've had, right?
Right.
That what do we, do we do a marketing campaign? Do we do some yard signs, work closer to home, whatever the case is?
Yeah.
So I think that's a discussion we're going to be having here in the next 6 months or so.
Yeah. City-town relations, Tim, I'm not sure they're the warmest they've ever been, but anything to report on that
Yeah,
front?
no, I think we're, there's some behind-the-scenes discussions going on. As you might expect, it encompasses water and sewer, right, as it always does. But yeah, we had brought the town to the table and pitched an idea, and it's getting fleshed out, and it's nothing's public, but there is a conversation going on.
Yeah. As I mentioned once in a while on the show, and I certainly appreciate the time that Mayor Smith gives us, and Albans townsmen, more than a little frustrating. Haven't had an interview with town folks for months, but I've been in touch again this week with Jonathan Giroux, and I'm hoping that I can sit down with Jonathan and Kerry Johnson in the not too distant future. I certainly hope that happens. It's been a while. Boy, I guess they're still not into the new town hall. I guess
No,
still working
no.
on the water issue. Boy, what can you say?
I'm going to bite my tongue, Richard,
Yeah,
on that.
I understand. Health of downtown, a pretty decent summer, would you
Yeah,
say, for downtown?
I haven't gotten out recently and talked to folks, but what I did hear, early August, mid-August, was business was excellent. A lot of I sort of paused before I use the word tourists, but
Yeah,
a lot of visitors from outside the region.
yeah,
How they get here, whether it's for a wedding or a family event, or they just know about St. Albans, or heard about St. Albans. I don't know if any of our businesses keep a log as to who's visiting and where they're from, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting to know that.
and Quebec folks, certainly more of a presence of folks from
Yeah.
Quebec, maybe not like the old days, but
Yeah,
it's
as
come
I-
back some.
It was interesting as I drove down Main Street, I think over the weekend, I tend to look at license plates
Yeah.
to see, and those can be deceiving sometimes because rental cars or whatever the case
Yeah.
are, but still, Quebec, Ontario, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the more from the northeast. But, you do see Tennessee, Georgia, so I think we see a lot of people popping in, maybe passing through between here and Montreal, and stopping in St. Albans, and utilizing, the restaurants, and we've really become a foodie destination, I think, or we're moving in that direction for sure.
Yeah.
With, you've got, new off the rails coming on board. You've got the Japanese restaurant down on Center Street. You've got the traditional, Twigs, Jeff's, Mimo's,
Yeah,
Drake.
Yeah.
So I think we have, and then when the Hangry Donut comes online, the Nourish.
yeah, that's a pretty good mix.
Yeah, and Tetros. I think Nellie's is another one. So there's a
Good old Mimo's. I had food from Mimo's
Mimo's.
just yesterday.
so you got a wide range of food, and so I think we're starting to be known for that as well.
Right. Probably be remiss. I certainly saw the Messenger story. Councillor Hawkins pretty concerned about the parking garage. Has that been a concern that maybe didn't get publicity for a while? Again, I'm not
I
a big
wouldn't-
parking garage
yeah.
guy.
I wouldn't say it was a concern. I think it was more that it was a growing problem,
Yeah.
if you will. Little by little, we've had during the summer we have a larger homeless population. I think they tend to move on when the cold weather sets in.
People
that-
typically living in cars and stuff. I mean, do you see them
No,
out?
well, we knew that there was a number of them living down on railroad property where
Really?
the ice house was that burned down, and there was a fire there.
Huh.
So when that fire burned, when the fire happened, it sort of dispersed those individuals that were staying there. I'm not sure how many there were, but we
Huh.
were aware of it.
Yeah.
They were undercover, and now they were being pushed into the community, if you will. And then the parking garage leads to some of that cover, right? So they were using the parking garage to charge cell phones and that type of stuff. And then just trash and litter, broken bottles, there's that type of stuff. So it was growing, gradually, and I think it just got to the point with Councilman Hawkins that he wanted him to make people aware of it. I park there on a daily basis. I make a habit of driving to the top floor now when I pull in, just to see if there's any activity.
Yeah.
There hasn't been. The City Hall team, Marty, the police, Marty Manhan and Public Works have made an effort to make that a priority and get it back to where I think everyone wants it to be.
Yeah.
So they're staying on top of litter that might be throughout the thing, or they have a water wagon that they can hose things down if there's if there's things that have been spilled, and then they stay on top of the trash cans and that type of stuff. So I've been through it last few days, and it looks great, and the team has done a wonderful job. So I think we just got away from it a little bit. Now we are refocused on it, and I think it's paying dividends.
And of course, that was a key part of the state office building, obviously coming downtown.
That and we talked about the tourism aspect. I mean, you want to make a good first impression.
The hotel's right there, of course.
You want to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
I think we're back to where we need to be.
And the hotel's done pretty well, Tim?
Hotel continues to do very well.
Really?
Full on number of weekends and even during the week with business contacts.
Yeah.
I think back, we talked about when we first we did a sort of rough calculation of what we thought the business visits would be.
Yeah.
We'd call Parago and say, how many overnights do you have? And I think we were up over 1,200, if I remember the number right. So it's deceiving that the hotel is actually has been done very well with the business community, and then with the special events aspect. So
down to about 2 minutes. Certainly should mention the community swimming pool. Sounds like coming off a good summer. And the bubble, is that operating again with the bubble?
The dome is up. I don't know if we've reopened. I wanted to get in and check it out. I saw that. I've only seen it from the exterior, but it is up. And in discussion with the city manager, it went up very smoothly.
Really? Interesting.
There was no issues. I'm curious to see what the lighting is and how they handle the humidity and stuff like that. So it's up. So that was last Wednesday they put it up. I think they needed a week, so probably maybe this weekend. So,
but that should be in good shape all winter then. Yeah, like as I've told you, I'm not a huge pool guy, but I think this winter I can't imagine that looked like a pretty good deal for seniors getting a membership as a city resident. So I suspect I'll give the pool some attention.
I think it's going to be great.
And coming off a very good summer for the pool.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah,
it was excellent.
Wow.
All the programs are sold out. Swim team had its highest numbers. So so Hardeck is hopping.
Down due.
Sorry.
No, that's okay too.
And then you had Afterglow this weekend.
Sounds like a nice event, well attended.
I was unable to attend, but the people said the crowd was excellent. The day,
weather was great.
Weather was great. They've nailed the weather every year. I hope I don't jinx them here for next year. But it's they've done a great job. The Holscheiders, John and Andrea, and their team that they put together. So and along with the rec department.
Well, it sounds like St. Albans coming off a good summer again. We're taping the show on the 20th. Fall officially checks in a couple days, so hopefully we'll be talking a decent fall foliage season around here. Anyway, thanks, Mr. Mayor, for jumping on.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks to producer Alan. Again, thanks for watching us on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. See you next time.